I'm Tania Rogers, and you're listening to Mindful Hustler, the podcast helping entrepreneurs get out of their heads and onto building their dreams. Together, we're building businesses while balancing minds. Let's dive in. This is a really special episode because we get to sit down with my amazingly talented bestie, who also happens to be a powerhouse woman navigating motherhood, marriage, and media all at once. With two kids, a thriving personal brand, and leadership roles at some of the most iconic media companies in the world, Amira knows what it takes to move with purpose. We dive into how she creates multi-million dollar marketing campaigns, nurtures her creative vision, and still makes room for family, faith, and fun. If you've ever wondered how to break into the entertainment or marketing world, get brand deals, or simply balance your whole self while building something impactful, this episode is for you. Hey, friend. I am so excited that you're here. Girl, I've been waiting for so long to have this conversation with you on the show. And we're finally doing it.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so honored that you asked me to do it. Seriously.
I'm so thankful you took time out of your busy day. I mean, I know currently right now you're in LA shooting the BET Awards, so you're amazing for doing this. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, I'm honored.
So, a little background story. Amira and I have been friends for over 20 years now. I'm dating us.
Oh my gosh, you are.
We've been friends since high school. We've seen every one of our phases from our adolescent years, our crazy college 20 something years clubbing in NYC, and now this season of our life while we're balancing marriage, business, and babies. So we're both moms of two. We both have girls, two girls at the exact same ages. No, not planned.
Yeah.
But I just really admire you. You wear so many different hats. How do you manage it all?
I can't answer that question because I don't know if I'm managing it well, or I don't even know if I'm managing it. I just envision myself like that meme of the person that's dragging themselves across the finish line. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that's
Stop
literally
it.
me. um, and that's like the behind the scenes of my life because I feel like front facing, everyone, sees me as like this powerhouse woman, balancing it all. But at the surface level, I'm literally just dragging myself across the finish line. It's so hard. And whenever someone asks me that question, I never know how to answer it, honestly. And when you asked me to do this episode, I was so hesitant because I was like, I don't think the advice I'm going to give or the perspective I'm going to give is going to be positive and happy and everything's perfect because it's not. um, and I always want to be real and authentic when it comes to balancing it all because sometimes it feels impossible. There are some days where I feel like a single mom. There are some days where my husband is all hands in, and there's some days where he's working overnight and he comes home extremely exhausted with red eyes, and I have to give that 80%. That percentage that he's not able to give. And that's marriage. I think Michelle Obama said something similar within her podcast where she sort of mentioned that like a lot of young people don't like to feel uncomfortable in their marriages. Like if everything isn't 50-50 or if everything isn't feeling perfect, that's when things start getting awkward and, a little uncomfortable. But in those moments, like that's the time where you both have to find ways to like fill in those gaps. And it's not always going to be 50-50 all the time. But I do think that balancing it all really comes with having a support system, a phenomenal partner, a village, people who you can call on and count on to help you get to the finish line and take your arm as you're dragging yourself across the finish line and pull you over because sometimes you need that extra support to get over the lines. Shout out to my mom, my sister, my husband, everyone who has been pulling me along the way.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You're so right. I feel the same way, honestly. And I
Yeah.
know we talk because we have similar struggles. We
Mhm.
both work remotely, but that doesn't make it any easier because I think it sometimes, honestly, it feels like it makes it harder because you're with your kids and you have to be the one to determine how to balance it. I think when I see you working and balancing everything, you really do it effortlessly. At least it looks that way, but I know under the surface it feels like chaos.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you mentioned something really important about, us being moms who work from home. I know so many moms who work from home with their kids, and they can, add into this conversation and say that it's really hard because essentially we're doing two jobs. One, we're keeping our child alive all day, which is an actual profession of a nanny and someone who does that for a living. And then we're also managing our actual career. So it's a dance like throughout the day where I'm literally 3 minutes into going into a Zoom meeting where I have to like pitch to a client and I have no time to rehearse or practice or get my thoughts together for this big meeting that I have to be the center of. Not something where I'm just like on the Zoom, not saying anything, but I actually have to speak and know what I'm talking about. But my toddler wants me to read her a book. My 11-month-old needs her diaper changed and she needs to eat. It's nap time. I'm like rocking them to sleep, looking at the clock, like, please go to sleep in 30 seconds because I have to make it to this meeting and make sense. So it's a lot of that. And sometimes I just look at myself like in the mirror, like, is this really like my life? I'm literally like breastfeeding my child 30 seconds before I have to get on a Zoom call. And those are the things that people don't see. Like when I get on that call, like I'm on my P's and Q's, like no one would have ever known that I was just fighting my toddler to take a nap. Like I'm just able to just snap into corporate mode and get the job done. So it's a lot. The balance of it all really just comes with figuring it out like one day at a time. Like there's really no plan because every day is so different.
I think you're right. And I think one thing that I struggle with is accepting that.
Mhm.
Because for me, I think I really, even though I'm a free spirit, I really do like to feel like things are planned and to feel like I'm prepared, even if it's like last minute. And so when you're working with children, as you know, like nothing really can stay planned. It's like you have a plan and then something happens. And you just have to get in that rhythm and business, entrepreneurship, all that. It's like, it's really the same. Even if, you have a corporate job, it's really that way too. You really have to be flexible. And I see you doing it all. And it makes me feel better because I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one like drowning these
Yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah. And I do feel like what gets me through the day is knowing that this isn't a permanent season. I just keep telling myself like this is temporary. This is not, something that's gonna happen forever. And that's what gets me through the day where I'm just like, you snap your fingers and these kids are going to be in college. Like you genuinely have to be present. And if I have to choose between getting my toddler to go to sleep and joining a meeting, like I'm going to join the meeting late because I genuinely prioritize my kids no matter what is happening. Like if they're sick, I'm going to take the day off and make sure that they're okay.
Mhm.
If she needs me to read that book for 5 minutes before I join the meeting, I will read her the book and then just say, "Oh, sorry guys, I had to go get some water. Sorry, I'm late," and just make something up. I always tell people that these jobs are will replace you in a finger snap. But your family can't replace you. You are the driving force of your family. Like, and that is something that they're always going to remember. And I just always just tell myself, like, family before work, like always. Like, that's just my mantra of life.
Yeah, that's such a good mantra to have.
Mhm.
I love that. And it's a good reminder of why you're doing it. I think it's easy to lose sight of that sometimes when you're not rooted in your intention, but you're right, family over everything, right? And sometimes it is hard to lose sight of that when you feel like I'm doing this for my family, like whatever season you're in, whether it's like you want to make more money, so you want to work extra hard.
Mhm.
I feel like that's the season that B and I are in. Sometimes it's like, what should I be doing? Should I sacrifice this moment so that we can get to a better position? Or should I remember, like you said, these moments are really fleeting and they're not going to last forever. And it's so special, especially when they're so young. So
Mhm.
I constantly am going through that battle in my head. And I feel guilty either way. It's like I have that mom guilt when I'm working and grinding. And then when I'm not working and grinding, I have that mom guilt. And it's just like, where do you win?
Yeah, such a good point. And now that you mentioned that, I'm thinking about how now in my career, I've been thinking like, are my kids holding me back from growing in my career? Because sometimes there's that guilt too from a career perspective because I've been on maternity leave twice within 3 years. So how am I
Mhm.
supposed to elevate and grow within my career if I'm on maternity leave, if I'm not there, if I'm not visible, if I'm not working? And
Yeah.
that's been something I've been battling for a while now because I'm always complaining like I've been a manager for 6 or 7 years now, like I'm ready for a promotion. And I do feel like sometimes being a mom and dedicating my time and energy to that has held me back sometimes. So there's that guilt for that. And then there's another thing where people are just saying, enjoy this time. They're going to be small for such a short time. Who cares about your career? And in my mind, I'm like, but I care. I need more money. Like, I want to grow.
That's a you know what? That's a great point because in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this for them, so it's a sacrifice for them anyway. But then it's like, but also for me. Like I want to grow and I actually enjoy what I'm doing. So you're
Right.
right.
Yeah.
It's a dance. And I don't know if there's a answer to it. I just think that we just have to feel it out and what feels right, we do it. And hopefully we look back years from now and we're like, this was the right thing.
The right decision. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to switch gears into your career because I admire your journey so much. And, for those of people who want to break into marketing or media, what do they really need to understand about the industry right now?
So I would say a few things. The industry right now has been a little strange and not steady. There have been a lot of layoffs. And like I told you before, I have to be transparent. The industry right now has been very strange. When I started my career back in like 2012, 2013, it seemed like it was easier to grow and move around. You remember when I went through like a season of quitting, finding a job within days, and then it was just easy to just keep moving around and moving up. Now you can't do that anymore. It's like you need to hold on to your job for like, that's it. But the industry right now, especially with the economy and the way, things are, because I specifically work in marketing, a lot of brands sometimes are, pulling back on their marketing budgets and trying to find different ways to like use their like dollars to grow their respective businesses, rightfully so. So the to answer your question, the industry has been strange. But I would say if you are looking to get into the industry, I always tell people I got in through internships. And if you're someone who's not at the internship level, it's genuinely just about who you know, making connections. I always tell people LinkedIn is your friend, reaching out to people just cold and just saying, like, hey, I saw your profile. I love what you do. I'm really interested in transitioning into that respective field. Have a list of questions prepared to ask that person. I know I'm someone, people send me messages every single day on LinkedIn asking me, what I do, and I will respond. I always respond. I love helping people. If you have any questions about, breaking into the marketing industry, I've always been that type of person to say, I never want to turn into someone who isn't giving back to those who are looking to get into the industry because it's very competitive. And especially now with the jobs being, smaller with the layoffs and things like that, it's much harder to get into the industry. So it's really just about who you know, making connections, networking, reaching out to people on LinkedIn, going to marketing events, joining different marketing organizations, and just making sure that you're in the right groups of people to, break into those roles.
How important do you think building a personal brand is in this industry? Because I'm such a huge believer in it. And I know that with marketing, I feel like you see that more now, even with people who sit in certain roles, they get hired because of their personal brands, it seems. As someone on the inside, how do you feel about that?
My God, personal brand is like everything. And I love that you asked this question too, because in the corporate world, I think it's hard sometimes to lose sight of what your personal brand is because you're like essentially working for a brand. So everything about you is making that brand shine bright like a diamond. And I immediately think about Bose, our girl Bose, and how
Mhm,
she took those brands that she worked with and created this beautiful personal brand that landed her on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Like, what?
mhm,
Now she's like
mhm.
this millionaire superstar who built this beautiful brand that everyone wants to align with. And she did such a phenomenal job with not allowing her companies to define her or her path or who she is as a woman. And she took that and started to give back to people in the marketing industry. She started having events. She created her own hair care line. And it just became so much bigger than just her working at Pepsi and Uber. She created this phenomenal brand. So she's a great example of someone who established her own personal brand. And now look at her now. Like she doesn't even need to attach herself to a company to make money. So that's like goals for everybody in the marketing industry. I feel like we're all trying to, get to that point where we don't need to rely on a company to advance in life and advance in the work world. So I feel like she's done a great job with that with her personal brand.
And speaking about brand deals, what do small business owners or personal brands need to know about attracting them, about attracting deals, brand deals?
From a business perspective, they usually align with influencers who are trying to gain attraction to their brand. So I feel like it's different types of strategies. So there's one where I can work with a small business to say, if you are looking to gain reach or lead generation or more eyeballs on your website, you can use these respective influencers based off of their audience and their demographic and who they're reaching to get more customers for your respective brand. If you are an influencer looking to align with brands, personal brand is key. What is your brand voice? Who is your audience? Why should this brand work with you? Because essentially, if you are trying to get brand deals, the first thing they're going to ask for is your media kit, which should have audience demographic information. What is the age demographic of the people who are following you? What are their interests? And if their interest is soccer and then you're pitching to a makeup brand, like would it make sense for them to invest in you if you don't have the audience, that they're looking to attract? So I always start with the metrics first, and metrics, numbers don't lie. So if you have an audience that aligns with that respective brand, you can easily get the deal based off of your impressions and what your audience is interested in and what type of engagement, people are already engaging with your respective content. So those are the things I always tell people to keep in mind.
So it's really, if you're an influencer, having your audience first and then attracting aligned businesses that
Mhm.
align with those audiences.
Correct.
And
Yes.
and not the
Yes.
other way around, not looking to align yourself with businesses to get an audience. It's more about leaning into your actual audience and then attracting the
Right.
business that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And building like genuinely an authentic audience that has your back with your content. Like that's what they're going to look at. They're going to look at your comments, how many likes you have, and what is your overall engagement rate? Are people responding to your existing content and saying, oh my gosh, I love your shirt. I'm going right now to your link to purchase it. So now you're showing proof of purchase, ROI, like no influencers, no brands are going to invest in you if they don't see that they can get their money back from that investment. Like it's always about return on investment.
You've created campaigns that brought in millions. What goes into that kind of creativity and execution?
That's a great question. So I would say a few things. For me, I think I never want to put something in front of a brand that I'm not personally passionate about. And now that I work for, a black brand, I'm super passionate about, brands coming in and authentically aligning with us. So it's not just like a logo slap, like, okay, like I'm supporting the black audience, like put my brand, in your content. And it's like, no, like are we donating money? Are you helping small businesses? Do you want to develop some sort of marketing plan that's helping to give back to the AA community? I'm always trying to find community driven ways to get brands to work with us essentially. For example, I did a marketing campaign, I think it was with Creed 3, and I thought it would be a really great idea to have to do like a spotlight on a local boxing gym in the same town that the movie started in. I think it's like Philadelphia. And we were able to like align with a local gym and interview the owner and, talk about his passion and like what got him inspired in boxing. And he had this beautiful story on how he got young boys off the street and really got them tied into the passion of like boxing and putting their hands to use to do something that was athletic and actually inspiring and not, just being out in the streets doing crazy things. So we did that. And then we also wanted someone from the movie to come and surprise the young boys at the boxing gym. So I was just like, let me see if Michael B. Jordan would be interested in doing this. And crazy enough, they put the idea in front of him and he was interested in doing it. And I think around that time, like his schedule didn't align with him being able to go to the boxing gym, but he was like, this is such a great idea. I love giving back. And if I was available, I would have, definitely done it, like, participated in it. And I was like, oh my God, Michael B. Jordan saw my idea. So yes, that, and I can like give you so many different examples of different campaigns I've worked on, but most of them have been like community driven, similar to that. I did another one with Mountain Dew where it was called the Real Change Opportunity Fund, and they gave up to $1 million dollars to inspiring entrepreneurs. They had to do like a pitch, like kind of similar to like Shark Tank, and we chose the panel of judges. I think it was like Lala, the founder of Blavity, and then someone from iHeartMedia. I think it was DJ Envy, but I can't remember. And they were the panel of judges. And then we had these, like, I think like 5 small businesses had to present to them. And we picked a winner. And then I think Lala actually, like, on the side, invested in her own money, like, into their business. So, like, just opening doors and opportunities for people. And, like, these are the marketing campaigns that people don't really see. They're not like mainstream Super Bowl level marketing executions, but it was just so powerful to be a part of something like that and to be able to give someone, up to $1 million for their own entrepreneurial idea. So that was really beautiful to be a part of.
It's amazing. So really, your creativity really brings opportunities all around, not just for the business, but also for the community and for other people in the community that want to create businesses as well. So it's like the gift that keeps on giving. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. And these brands have so much money. So it's nice to see like the marketing budgets and what the dollars can actually bring to the Black community. And it's just nice to see it from like the back end and to be able, because I'm the one who, like, the brands will come to us and they'll say, like, this is how much we want to spend. This is our timing. This is our flight. Here you go. What can we do? And then I'll put together like a 70-page PowerPoint on like all the things that they can do, and they'll pick, and that's it. So the hard part is once I have all these big, beautiful ideas, it sells in, and I'm like, oh God, now I have to execute it. And that's how I end up being stressed out. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I want to do all these things. And then like it sells in, and I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm running around.
How do you handle the pressure? Like, do you have any non-negotiables in terms of like boundaries for yourself when it comes to your career and work?
As you're like asking me this question, I can hear like Kester, my husband, in my ear, like, she don't have no boundaries. Because I was about to lie, like, yes, I have so many boundaries, but I really need to be better because I'm the one that will answer the phone at midnight. Like, what do you need? I'm here. And that's my personality. Like, I don't like to leave people on red. Like, if
You
you
show up.
need something from me, like work wise, friend wise, I'm gonna pick up. So he will like literally snatch the phone out of my hand. Like, it's 11 o'clock. Like, why are you still answering work emails? And I need to be better with like establishing boundaries. I do, because I do think that adds to the chaos of my life. Like, at 6 o'clock, I need to just log off. But I don't have that mindset. I need to do better with that and do better with establishing boundaries, especially as a mom.
I mean, on one hand, it's like you are an executor, you really do know how to get it done. But I hear you when it comes to boundaries because it is something that keeps us just grounded and sane. And it's a journey. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's hard. It's hard to practice for I feel like for everyone. I mean, as a therapist, it's what I talk about all day. So I know for a fact it's hard, but especially when
Yep.
you're like a high performer who knows that they can do
Mm-hmm.
more. And so some degree it's like, well, why not? If I know I can do it. So it's a journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm right there with you.
It is. Yeah, I know. I was gonna ask you. I know I'm not supposed to ask questions, but I was
Yes,
gonna
you
ask,
are.
like, how do
This
you
is a
set boundaries? I feel like you're
conversation.
good with your. Okay, well, how do you set boundaries? I feel like you do. I feel like you're better than I am.
Well, wow. Okay. I invite you to ask me, and now I don't even, I'm like
Like,
thinking about it. You know what? So, one thing that comes to mind is working with clients. I do know just from working with just people in general, but also people who maybe are a little bit unstable at the time that I'm working with them. I really have to work hard to teach them about our relationship, about like the therapeutic relationship, because sometimes it can get conscrewed. Like well, they're revealing their most intimate, darkest secrets with me, and there's a bond there. But I have to be firm about like we're not friends, right? Like this is a therapeutic relationship. And you know me, like I'm an intimate person. Like I just want to connect. And so I know that can be confusing, but it's really my job to really push that boundary because if not, it can be very damaging for someone. So I can remember like when I worked in case management before I was a therapist, when I would actually go into people's homes, people thought that I should do everything and anything for them. And I really had to not teach them with my words, but with my actions. So people would text me, this is an emergency, 911, please pick up. And I used to pick up and drive myself crazy. And then I had to learn, no, I'm not 911. If it's an emergency, call. 911. And of course, they don't listen to that. So I just have to stop picking up. Like I just literally have to, even if I'm available, it's like, no, I have to teach them I'm not available. And then I'll call you back when we have, a session. So I don't know. It's still a journey because I still find myself struggling with it, but I do know I've gotten a lot better only because I really have to be and because I'm obligated to be, like legally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. And that's a really important boundary, especially in those moments where it's like, please help 911. It's like, I can't. Like, you're available to them for that hour time frame. Anything outside of that, I feel like that's your boundary. It's like, this is when I talk to you. Like, anything additional, you have to wait until your next session. Yeah.
Right, right.
Like,
And
you
it
can't.
also, I know it gets hard because it's like you want to build rapport. And sometimes it's like you don't want to break that rapport, or like especially in the early years when it's like you're building your clientele. It's like you feel obligated to because you're just establishing that rapport with them. You want to keep them as a client. But I mean, and it goes in training too.
Yeah.
You never sacrifice rapport for what's right. So I try to stick with that. But I know it's a
Yeah.
lot harder in personal life with family and friends and stuff. It gets a little bit harder to exercise boundaries.
Yeah, it does. It does. The guilt is real. I think that's what it is for me. I was like, I just feel guilty. I'm like, if I don't pick up, like, I will just think about it all night. Like, what did they need me for? It's so bad.
How much of that
The
do you
looping thought.
think is perfectionism? Because I know I struggle with that. Do you feel like you want to be available because you want to like do a good job, or do you feel like you want to be available because like this is who you represent yourself to be?
I feel like it's case by case. Like sometimes I pick up just because I don't want to deal with it the next day. So I'm like, let me just answer now because I don't
You
want
sound
to
like
wake up.
B. That's B all the way.
Yeah, because he's a project manager too, so he knows like we're just always on the clock. There's always
Yes.
something happening, and like we
Yeah.
don't have like traditional 9 to 5s. Like if you're working on a project, you have to see it through all times of the night, all times of the day. Things keep going wrong, so we have to pick up at midnight, like because we just don't know like what it could be, or it could get worse if you don't pick up. So I think it's just a lot of that. I feel like I did have a lot of like perfectionist energy when I first started in the media industry. I scaled back drastically, especially after I had kids. I was just like, what you get from me is what you get. Like my energy changed drastically. My priorities changed, I should say. And even within motherhood as well, I went into it wanting to be like this perfect patty mom. And then things just always went wrong every day. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to do what I can do. Like, like when we both first had our girls, I was like breastfeeding like crazy. I had a whole freezer full of milk. This time around, I did not pump a lick. Like, I feel like I drove myself so crazy trying to like have all this milk prepared. I was like donating milk at one point because I had so much milk. This time around, I was
Mhm.
like, I'm feeding on demand. If I can pump, I'll pump. But I was not gonna drive myself crazy with the second baby. I was like, she's eating, she's healthy, and she's great. Then that's all I'm gonna do. So it definitely changed my perspective for sure with being
Yeah,
perfect.
I think that second born always gets like the short end of the stick. Lord knows I know like when Rogue was born, the first baby, it's like you're so anxious and we were just doing everything like by the books and trying to clean everything and all the things. And with Snow, I'm literally most days I'm carrying her like a football and I'm like balancing things. Things fall on the floor. I don't even wash them anymore. I just get it's so bad.
Yeah,
Second born
same.
energy.
Literally holding her, cooking dinner. Yes, holding a book with my thumb. Like, it's a
What
lot.
do you hope your daughters learn from watching you build this life?
Oh my gosh. This is such a powerful question because I just feel like so many things. This is probably going to sound crazy, but I really don't want my girls to be like anything like me. And I
Really?
feel like as a mom, you're like, I don't want my kids to be like me. I want them to be better. Like,
Yeah.
do more than what I'm doing, And I want them to see me working hard and being superwoman like everyone can see, but I just want them to strive for greater, do more, do what they're passionate about, and I don't want them to follow in my footsteps. I want them to create their own. And that is what I'm trying to teach them every day. Like I'm just really trying to hone in on their specific passions, what drives them, what makes them happy, what makes them twirl around in circles, what makes them get out of bed every morning. That's really what I want to instill in them. And I really don't want them to look at me and my path and say, I want to be like mom or I want to be like dad. Like, I want them to really hone in on their own skills and what makes them happy and just try to make the world a better place with whatever that passion is. That's really what I want more
I
than
love
anything.
that. I love that. Yeah, I want the
Yeah.
same for our girls. I definitely want them to understand
Mhm.
themselves and what they love and do that. I mean, we named Rogue Rogue for a reason because we want her
Yeah.
to forge her own path. And then
Yes.
I just think that as women, as girls, I should say, as young girls, we're really sold like fairy tales, like someone is going to come and save you, like that knight in shining armor,
Oh, yeah.
especially in our era as like these babies. All the like Disney movies, they're all about princesses being saved. And I just want them to know no one is coming to save
Yeah.
you. I don't even want them to feel like mommy and daddy will save you. I want them to have that initiative to want to save themselves and really be go-getters and have that grit. I think honestly, I sound old right now, but I think the younger generations, in my opinion, lost a little bit of the grit because everything is at the, click of a button. Like everything is so instant gratification. And when growing up, we had a little bit more grit because we had to do things. Like, and I was just having this conversation with B earlier, like even just having to go in a dictionary and look things up and not having Google, like growing up, like there's that initiative to, right? There's that initiative to do things.
There was like no Google or
Yes.
Chat GPT to like help us with our papers. Like we we had to open a book.
Yeah, yeah. Even like internships, like what you were saying. I mean, I feel like I was like an intern queen. Like I remember just looking at like even in the paper or like growing up, I know that there was like this paper called The Backstage. I was really into theater growing up. And so I would look at the backstage and look at different like auditions and things, or even just like addresses to casting companies and like a crazy person literally go to New York and go to the buildings where they went to drop off like whatever I was dropping off, like maybe my headshots or whatever. So we had to really be go-getters.
That's that hustler mindset. We just do it in a different way now.
Yeah.
Technology is our friend. So now we know how to hustle in a different way.
Yeah, yeah. But I want them
Yes.
to have some of that grit still. And that brings me to my last very important question.
Yes.
What does hustle mindfully mean to you?
I would say hustling with intention, with power, and with peace. And I feel like those are like the three ingredients of being a mindful hustler because I do think that there should be some boundary with the hustle. I think as moms and as working moms specifically, our brains are just always going like hustle, hustle, hustle. Every day you're up, no days to sleep in. But it's just so important to just find some moments of peace to yourself. And that's something that I'm still practicing for myself. So I would say that.
I love that, Amira. Thank you so much for being on the show and for giving me some of your time, friend. I love you so much. Thank you. You're a great guest. Well, you need to come back on and we need to actually talk more about like our mommy and business life because I know we have a lot more to say.
Absolutely. Part two coming soon.
Thanks, girl. Thanks so much for listening. If you like this episode and you don't want to miss another, make sure you subscribe. See you next time.